In Web of the Spider-Verse, we hear the web heart as he describes the role of the spiders. You see, spiders are builders. Some build webs of silk, while others build webs of meaning. Across the multiverse, these spiders work together to maintain balance and order. But the web heart has seen that the spiders will inevitably come to war with a power as great as their own. Most likely, he's talking about a war between the spiders and the symbiotes. But in order to reduce the amount of bloodshed, the web heart as well as the symbiote hive mind have come up with a great game. This game will inevitably decide the fate of every spider and symbiote across the multiverse. The web heart has already started to put together his team. The web heart has already acquired spiders across the multiverse in the form of a leader, a wild card, a revolutionary, a weapon, an artist, an orphan. But there's still one last selection to make. So the web heart peers across the multiverse in order to find the final piece to the puzzle. In this multiverse, we would find Peter Parker, the spectacular Spider-Man. See, although strong, this Spider-Man always dreamed of having strength proportional to the Hawk. Well, one day, he got it, but this turns out to be a case of be careful what you ask for. As Peter returns home to Mary Jane, she'd be worried about why his costume's all ripped up. But as the couple are talking, they're promptly interrupted by the Hobgoblin. Now this pisses Peter off, and he proceeds to transform into the Spider-Hawk. Spider-Hawk effortlessly smashes Goblin's glider and beats through Goblin's countermeasures. But during the chaos, Mary Jane is abducted by Otto Octavius as he's assisted by the Rhino. But within seconds, Spider-Hawk smashes Octavius. Then Spider-Hawk would rip off Rhino's own horn and smash him into the concrete. But as Spider-Hawk is about to finish off the Rhino, he's stopped by none other than Mary Jane. But unfortunately for Spider-Hawk, the police show up, and now Peter is forced to retreat and live out his life in isolation. The web heart observes this multiverse's Peter Parker, but although he wields such great power, he lacks a lot of self-control as well as a sense of direction. For that reason, this spider will not serve as a good addition to the team. Year 198X, we see Mary Jane Van Helsing in a bar throwing some brews back. See, Mary Jane is here to hunt a vampire as she's killed countless of them. But this time she's here to kill none other than Count Peter Parker. But as Mary Jane Van Helsing makes her way towards Count Peter Parker's mansion, she gets this funny little tingle in her spine. But it's not a bad tingle, it's more or less a tingle of excitement. But as Mary Jane enters the domain, she's confronted by a slew of vampires that are eager to harvest her blood for their master. But Mary Jane Van Helsing makes short work of all the vampires and then proceeds through the mansion. As Mary Jane Van Helsing reaches the lower levels, she finds Count Peter Parker's laboratory. Mary Jane Van Helsing has always been fascinated by lab guys. She observes that Count Peter Parker has several enemies suspended in a tank that he's been experimenting on. But her hunter intuition tells her that at least one of these guys is going to wake up in 3, 2, and right on cue, Rhino bursts out the glass, attempting to kill her. But Mary Jane Van Helsing dodges and then proceeds to put a stake through Rhino. But as she makes her way towards the master bedroom to deal with Count Peter Parker, she gets that funny little tingle in her spine once again. Upon entering the master bedroom, she encounters Count Peter Parker. They then proceed to make small talk before Mary Jane Van Helsing rushes him in an attempt to kill him. The two fight it out with Mary Jane Van Helsing eventually gaining the upper hand. But as she's about to stake Count Peter Parker, something stops her as she starts getting visions of dozens of them across the universe as if they were fated to be together. But as she hesitates, Count Peter Parker takes this opportunity to sink his fangs in. It hurt at first, but now there's nothing but pleasure. Mary Jane Van Helsing has a family once again, even if they are crazed spider hybrids, are lunatic zombies, are unholy atrocities. Mary Jane Van Helsing and Count Peter Parker fly off into the night as the web heart watches. The web heart senses untold wisdom in Count Peter Parker. He could be the one that the web heart seeks, or even the newly turned Mary Jane Van Helsing. But although the two undoubtedly possess drive, they are not what the web heart is searching for, as they fight for the right to live and indulge in pleasure. For this reason, the web heart keeps looking. New York City, Earth 2501. Many years ago, a Kree armada invaded this planet in an attempt to make it a forward operating base, and the scary part is they actually succeeded. Most heroes have fallen in battle trying to oppose the Kree. A lot of them were hunted or either died out during the invasion, all except Miles Morales. Miles fights to oppose the Kree as he's assisted by his exceptionally skilled uncle, the Prowler, aka Aaron Davis. The two get some intel from a fellow operative named Ramona. She informs them that a new control ship is over the horizon and it's vital they take it out. Miles Morales and the Prowler head out into the city to go deal with the new control ship. Miles lets the Prowler know that he can infiltrate the ship from here, but his uncle the Prowler lets him know that he may not have to, as he's able to jerry-rig the ship to blow from the outside. But Miles does not want to go that route, as the way Miles sees it, although they are enemies, they still have lives. The Prowler doesn't know where Miles got this sense of morality, as Miles has modeled himself after Spider-Man, and Spider-Man died out long ago. Nevertheless, the Prowler agrees to infiltrate the inside of the ship, that way Miles can hack and disable the control ship from the inside. But as the Prowler and Miles make it to the control room, for one reason or another, Miles is actually not able to hack the ship. Now Miles is kind of hysterical, so the Prowler is attempting to calm him down, but in the midst of all the chaos, they're discovered by one of the Kree. The Kree soldier shoots through the Prowler's chest, dealing him a fatal blow. Miles takes out the Kree soldier and then tries to do what he can to help out his uncle Aaron. Unfortunately, it's too late for Aaron, but his uncle does give him some final parting words of wisdom. He tells Miles, when the rules give the oppressors all the power, it's your responsibility to break those rules. Sounds kind of familiar, doesn't it? Anyway, Miles takes the detonator from the Prowler as he knows what must be done. Miles detonates the control ship before it can do any more damage. But although the Prowler is gone, his spirit lives on, as now Miles has taken the name of the man he never knew and the best man he always knew. Miles has now become the Spider Prowler. The Web Heart watches Miles' exploits, and he sees that Miles Morales has a heart that has not yet been corrupted, but it has also been hardened by the brutality of war. Miles fights for his own no matter the cost, and for that reason, the Spider Prowler is the final addition to the Web Heart's team. With the team selected, the stage has been set to see who will usher in the future of the multiverse. To be continued.